Not wanting something is as good as having it. I recently posted this on my Instagram, and this reel got over 500k plus views. So I was just checking comments, and there was a comment: is not wanting food as good as having it? And there was also one more comment: is not wanting pain as good as having it? So they were very weird comments, and they actually made me think about what I just said in the video. So I thought over it a few more times, and I decided to make a detailed video on it, because I had heard that statement from Naval Ravikant. He had said in a podcast, I guess, that not wanting something is as good as having it. And there is a lot of context behind this, and lot of thinking thought process behind this. And I believe that you cannot speak in a way that cannot be misunderstood. It is just impossible to speak in a way that cannot be misunderstood. There is always going to be someone somewhere who is going to misunderstand. So therefore, I cannot speak in a way that cannot be misunderstood by anyone, but I will try to speak in such a way and explain the context behind this statement and quote, whatever you call it. So maybe those who want to understand this more clearly, they can get some benefit. So when I say not wanting something is as good as having it, uh, this is kind of formula for happiness. I would not call this formula for happiness, because happiness is actually a very weird, not weird, but it is very hard to talk about. I always like to reinterpret what Naval Ravikant has said about happiness. He says that happiness, what is happiness? First of all, let's try to understand what is happiness. So he says that happiness happiness just does not exist in the world. And there are two aspects to this. First, the world does not feel happiness or unhappiness. The world does not feel sad or happy. The world is very neutral. You are someone who interprets the situations, the people, the moments. I the thoughts make you happy or unhappy. The thoughts are happy or unhappy. Then you identify with those thoughts, and then you become happy or unhappy. Any situation in the world that is not inherently happy or unhappy. A same situation can be interpreted by someone as happy and some by someone as unhappiness. So that is very abstract. And the another aspect of this is that actually the world is impermanent, and it is super temporary, and it is full of misery. So this is the second part to it, that therefore happiness just does not exist. As Lord Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, dukhalayam ashaswatam. This world is full of miseries, and it is temporary. So this is the second part to it. Therefore the happiness does not exist. What is happiness? Happiness is just your own thought. You can reinterpret your past, and you can interpret your present. That is just interpretation of your mind. And again, what is the mind? This is very, this topic requires a lot of time and understanding, and everybody has their own personal definition or understanding of happiness. Someone says, I just don't need happiness, I just don't want happiness, I'm fine. So I am specifically trying to point out the desire, because desire, the unfulfilled desires, those are one of the main causes of unhappiness or misery. We have some kind of desire, we cannot fulfill it, then we become unhappy, then we get bored, then we pick up another desire, and then the cycle continues. We either complete it, or we either leave it, and then we get again bored, then we pick up another desire, and the cycle continues. So this is more about desires. This is more about desire management, how you manage your desires. Because you can be more happy. I would not say happy, because as I said, happiness is an emotion. It comes, it goes. It is just mind's interpretation. What I would like to say is satisfaction or maybe peace. This is, I think, more better word. Peace. You can become more peaceful if you have less desires, and your desires are consciously chosen, not the desires inherited by society, inherited by family, or just you pick up. We have habit of picking up desire here and there, and especially in the age of social media, we get to see so many things, and our mind just picks up desires from here and there. It sees many people, they are doing this, they are doing this, they are happy, they are unhappy, but but we don't know that people are only showing the right side, or maybe people are only showing the good side of their life. So we just pick up desires like this. So therefore we, when we become careful, when we become conscious about our desires, then we can maybe become more peaceful and more satisfied, like just being okay with whatever happens. uh, there is the example, Naval Ravikant gives one example. There is this story from the life of Socrates. When he goes to the market and he sees the fineries and luxuries, so he asks to himself, how many things are in this world that I don't want? So not wanting something is kind of freedom. That's freedom. You just don't want that thing. So that is a kind of freedom. And another example is of Diogenes, very famous example. uh, Alexander comes in the way of Diogenes. Diogenes says to him, get aside, you are blocking the sunshine. So, and Alexander says, if I would not be Alexander, I would like to become Diogenes. And that's the difference. If Diogenes would not be Diogenes, he would not wish to become Diogenes. So everybody has their own personal interpretation of happiness. But how I like to see is that, once if you can manage your desires, when you have fewer desires, when you have consciously chosen your desires, and your desires are selfless and selfish simultaneously. Naval Ravikant has this concept of selfish morality. So he has explained literally every virtue. He can point out any virtue and say that the selfish reason to to follow this virtue is this: you attract what you are. So if you are a kind person, if you are a good person, if you are a generous person, you will attract that kind of people. And if you are a shark, then you will find that you are yourself swimming among the sharks. So that is one point. So yes, so I think there are three aspects to the desire management. First, you have fewer desires, and second, you choose your desires consciously, and third, your desires are selfless but inherently selfish, because your selflessness is because you are more selfish. I'm not sure uh, if I'm able to if I'm able to explain this, because I'm not a very elegant speaker. I'm actually a writer, so I don't have that much speaking skills. Although I have just started this YouTube channel to share my point of view. So this is, I think, my fourth or